in my 15th week of pregnancy and we are so excited. We have not done a good job of documenting really anything up until this point, but we decided, my husband and I, that we should step it up a notch. So I'm doing this for a few reasons. The first one is just for us to look back and to see our journey and the symptoms I might have had. And then also for friends and family that either live here or maybe they live out of state. We have lots of out of state family considering we live in Alaska. And then also the third reason is because so far I personally have loved watching YouTube videos from other pregnant women and hearing how they feel and what it's like for them. And I even love going on Instagram and typing in hashtag 15 weeks pregnant and seeing all the belly pictures and just hearing from random strangers because, you know, we're all women and we kind of go through similar things and different things and it's just interesting. So that's why I'm doing this. And like I said, I am in my 15th week of pregnancy and I feel great. It's been an amazing journey so far. So I'll start out by saying how we announced it. And my husband and I decided a while back that we would wait till we were 12 weeks, or I was 12 weeks pregnant, till we told people. I will say though, I think that it was good for me to tell at least one really close friend. I decided to tell my friend Susanna. She's the one person in my life. She told me about my period and she told me just about different life things that are essential to know, and I always felt really comfortable talking to her. She just had a beautiful baby boy who I think is the cutest little boy I've ever seen. And his name's Vinny, and so she's kind of fresh in the motherhood department. And so because I didn't know like who I'm supposed to call, like what doctor I should go to, lots of different things I didn't know because I'm new to this, and so telling her was really good. I also had a couple friends that just saw me and they knew. And my best friend Morgan, I was only 5 weeks pregnant. I think I had literally just found out that I was pregnant. And she walked into my classroom. I'm a first grade teacher. And she was looking at me weird. And then she asked, "So are you planning to teach next year?" And the way she asked it, it just like, I felt like she was staring deep into my soul. And so I answered and I stumbled through my words. And she was still, after I answered, you could tell she was not satisfied with my answer because she had a deeper reason for asking me. And so finally I was like, "Oh my gosh, Morgan." And I showed her my phone because I had taken a picture of the pregnancy test and she said, "I knew it." And I was like, "Was it because of my pregnancy glow?" Hoping. And she said, "No, I could tell because of your belly." And I realized I am never wearing this dress again because I definitely should not have been showing that early. And it was just probably a food belly, a food baby, they say. So, and then I had one other friend who asked me, and if a friend asks you or someone just asks you, really there's no good way of getting out of that. So you kind of just have to tell them and then just ask them politely not to tell anyone else. So we finally went to an ultrasound at 10.5 weeks and the baby was healthy. The heart was at that time 169 beats per minute, which is extremely fast it seems, but it was healthy and moving all around, and it looked like it was sucking its thumb, and it was just really exciting because up until that point, a couple days before we went to the ultrasound, I was getting extremely anxious. I remember a couple times feeling a little depressed because I didn't feel any different. I wasn't sure, like, oh my gosh, what if I'm not even pregnant? And just thinking kind of worst case scenarios. And so when we went, it was so good for both of us because it's hard for the husband because like it's hard to understand exactly what we're going through and it's just completely different for them. And so I think it was good for Josh to see because it was just, I mean, it was so real, and that was when everything seemed the most real. Then we still waited a couple more weeks to share the news, and it worked out perfectly because I was actually a little farther along than I originally thought, and so we could tell my family on Mother's Day. And so I'll link the video of us sharing the news with my family, but let's just say it was perfect. It couldn't have gone any better. My family was so excited. And I love the fact that it worked out on Mother's Day. And also I saw so many announcements on Mother's Day, so everyone had the same idea as us. But it was just special. But we didn't tell everyone else till a few days later, because actually I'll say I was just 11 weeks when we told my family, but then I waited till 12 weeks to tell everyone else, now that I think about it. So we decided it was a Thursday that I told my work. I had a meeting in my classroom already scheduled, and so I figured that would be a good time to tell all the teachers, because I've been teaching first grade at the same school for the past 3 years. I would have been going on my 4th year, so it really was a big thing for me to announce that I'm pregnant and I won't be returning. And I know that God had just been preparing my heart for a while, because if not, it would have been extremely hard, but I just felt so much peace about it, and I know that it's just what I'm supposed to do. And so everyone was really excited. Then I was gonna tell the rest of the world, Facebook, later that day, but I just was like, I can't wait any longer. So right after the meeting, before school started, I went on my Facebook and we posted the announcement video, and got so many comments, and all of our family and friends were just so excited. So yeah, so that's how we announced it. And I told my class, because I have about 24 students, and I wanted to make it special for them, but they're first grade, so they're young, and so I wanted to make it special but not weird. And because thinking of your teacher as a human outside of your teacher, it's just weird. It was always weird to see my teacher in the grocery store, so I knew they would be excited. They always asked, Mrs. Duval, when are you going to have a baby? So I made, and I couldn't find a good one online that I liked, so I made, I forget what it's called, like an encryption or something, but basically each letter I drew a different code. So I drew my famous illustration of a terrible puppy, maybe for the A, and so then I wrote, Mrs. Duval is having a baby, and they had to unlock the code, and it was just hilarious. They were definitely surprised, but all the different reactions were pretty classic, and they were so excited. And I just had one student in particular that, she was just so sweet, and she said, Mrs. Duval, I'm gonna help you a lot now, so if you ever need anything, I'll be here. And she was rubbing my belly, even though there wasn't really much to rub at the time. But it was just, moments like that are so special, and I was thrilled to be able to share it with all of my students whom I love so much. So that's how I announced it to pretty much everyone. And I wanted to share a little bit about my experience leading up to becoming pregnant. My husband and I got married on October 11th, 2014. So in this October, we'll be married for 2 years. And we had decided before that we would wait 1 year before even thinking about trying to get pregnant. And so as it got closer to that 1 year mark, I was just getting so excited, so ready. And so as soon as October came around, we were ready. So in my head, I guess I was very naive. I just hadn't really thought about it too much. I thought that once you decide that you want to become pregnant, it would just kind of happen really easily. And it wasn't really like that. So my situation is a little different, but I know I'm not alone in this. So my cycle, it's not the average 28-day cycle. It's more like a minimum of 40 days, up to 50 days. But so we started trying in October, and in November, I didn't have a period for 70 days. And so obviously it becomes very difficult to know when you're ovulating. A little TMI for this YouTube video, but I think it's important to share because I know I'm not alone. And so we tried, and then after a few months, I was getting discouraged. I told my sister, and she talked to her doctor, and she didn't say it was me, even though she doesn't even live in Alaska, so it would have been fine, but she said, I have a friend, you know, the classic thing, and she shared a little bit about how irregular my cycles were. And her doctor said, well, maybe she's not ovulating at all, and it's going to be very challenging for her to become pregnant, and also maybe maybe your friend could get on birth control for 3 months, and then usually it regulates so that once you get off of it, your period will come on a more normal cycle. But I really didn't want to do that because I just know that that really messes with your body. And even then, it's just, I mean, it just seemed so like that would be the last thing I'll try if nothing works. So I kind of, at this point, had given up on really, like, it wasn't in my head that I would get pregnant anytime soon, and I just placed it in God's hand. And my friend Susanna, she told me that it's all in God's timing, and so that, and I think my sister told me that too, so that was encouraging. And I know deep down that that is true, that sometimes it is a little discouraging. So here's what I did, and I just think that it is so neat, so I want to share. So I decided I was going to start taking my basal body temperature every morning. And so when you do this, basically you just take your temperature every morning. You want to make sure it's at the same time, because if you get up to go to the bathroom, your temperature changes. And if you wake up at different times and you slept longer periods of time, then it's all different. So I decided, because of my work schedule, that I would set my alarm for 6 o'clock every morning. Even if it was on the weekend, I was committing to this, and I would take my temperature. And so I did that. I just did it for a month, and the results were pretty interesting, because remember, I didn't know if I was ovulating. So pretty much this test for me was to see if I even was at all. So basically how it's supposed to go, you'll have to look more into it if you want to try it for yourself, because this is just what I kind of found for myself. I wasn't sure if I was actually doing everything right, but I'll explain more. So basically, after your period, start taking your temperature every morning at the same time. And you'll notice that your temperature will be lower. It will be maybe from the high 96s to the 97s, like not too high, anything after that. So for me, my temperature was, and it's pretty cool, if you imagine it on a chart. So my temperature after my period was 97.0, 97.1, 97.0, and it just continued like that for a while, and it's supposed to. And then one day it dropped to 96.6, and on the chart you'll see an actual drop. And then after that day, it went up to about the 98-degree range. And according to how this should work, that day that it drops is the day that the egg releases, and I'm not a scientist or a doctor, so I might be completely saying things weird, but that's apparently when the egg drops or something, and then maybe you have a fertile period for maybe 5 days, and it will continue up like this until you have your period. But if you're pregnant, it will just stay like that. And so a lot of women, you can tell if you're pregnant if it stays high when your period was supposed to come. So I actually became pregnant the month that I started doing this. And that really, for me, this was more so because I didn't really understand how it worked at the time, but looking back, I understand it better. But the test was more to even see if I was ovulating. And so when I went to the doctor, we got measured for how far along I was, because it was really hard to tell, because my cycle was, usually they base it off of the first day of your last period, but since my period was so long ago, they couldn't really do that. So I needed to get an ultrasound. And what I think is really cool, I sat down with my midwife and we looked at my app. I was using the Ovia app to track those temperatures every day, and I pulled up the chart. And so she said, yeah, so I bet that the day that it was 96.6 is when you conceived. So when I went to the ultrasound, I found out how far along I was. Then I dated it back, and quite literally, the day that it was 96.6 was in fact the day I conceived. So I just think it's really encouraging for people who maybe your cycle is only 23 days apart, or maybe it's 60 days apart, for you to just kind of, and maybe you're not trying to get pregnant, maybe you're trying not to get pregnant. So this could be a very natural way of birth control. Yeah, or of trying to get pregnant. So to me, it points back to God. When you see all these things, like how technical everything is, it just shows how intricate God is. So I love that. Okay, as far as symptoms, so I am very blessed, and thank you, Jesus. I have not had morning sickness. And I didn't think I would, because my mom and my sisters, they never had morning sickness. So of course, who knows, but I don't. And so I don't really have any big symptoms, but I will share the ones that I have had. I get migraines a lot. I have gotten migraines. Usually I would get them maybe a week before my period, so I'm used to them, but I've been getting them a lot lately. I thought at first it was allergies because the pollen is so bad and it was getting very congested up here, but I think that it's a pregnancy symptom, and the problem is you can't take Advil migraine, and I swear by Advil migraine, and so you can take Tylenol, I believe. I did check with my midwife, and she said definitely no Advil migraine. And it just doesn't work as well, and I haven't had it in the house. So I've been relying on peppermint essential oils, and I know that essential oils are very good, and I feel much better about using them anyways. I just rub them on the area. But to be honest, when you have a really bad migraine, you do wish that you just had something that was gonna work a lot quicker. So migraines, and then really using the bathroom all the time. And in the middle of the night, I used to just sleep all night like a baby. Basically, I wouldn't even wake up to my alarm clock. But now I go to the bathroom a minimum of 3 times in the middle of the night, up to 6 times. And it's usually about 5 times. And it's just, it's a bit inconvenient, but it could be worse. So I'm not complaining. But other than that, really, I guess the first thing was just being so sore up here. And then also just, I think I've gone up a whole size, or I just know that they are growing. And so that's that. But other than that, yeah, I feel really great, and I'm just very thankful for that. As far as products that I've used, and I'm not recommending these because I don't know if they're even working, but I went to Lush. We don't have a Lush in the city that I live in. We have one about 7 hours away. So when I went there, I told them I was pregnant. Actually, the girl from Lush, I think, was the first person I told I was pregnant to, and she was so kind. But these aren't a line from them that is made for pregnancy, but she recommended them to me. She recommended a few different things. They do have a massage bar that is more recommended, but I wanted more of a lotion. Maybe I'll look into that again. But I got Charity Pot, and I'll put this on after I get out of the shower. And then in the shower, I got Angels on Bare Skin, and it's a cleanser scent from above. Lavender evens out skin tone, while scrubby almonds give a healthy glow. So in the shower, I put that on to exfoliate. And then also when I get out of the shower, then I usually mix and match these. I don't use them all at the same time. I got this from one of my students' parents that sells It Works, so I was kind of excited to try this. This is It Works Stretch Mark Moisturizing Body Cream. So we'll see. I know I'm bound to get stretch marks, but I'll try that. For prenatal vitamins, I had been taking these. I was taking 2 a day, and they're rather large. And then after a couple months, I looked at the back and it says take 2 capsules twice daily. Then I realized that means, I'm pretty sure 2 capsules twice daily means 4, and they're just so big. And so then I started using the ones that my midwife gave me, and these are 1 a day, so I automatically liked the name, and they're about the same size, but but I figure if you only have to take them once a day, that's so much better. So next time I go there, I think I'm gonna ask her if I can get some more samples of these. We'll see if that works. So that's all. I haven't bought anything else. I'm interested in getting a body pillow for sleeping at night, but other than that, we're waiting to find out the gender to really buy anything. And we're excited on July 1st, so in 1 month from today, or a little less than a month, we're gonna find out the gender. And we're actually flying my mother-in-law into town, and she's gonna come to the ultrasound, and then we're gonna have a gender reveal party that evening. So hopefully everything goes well at the ultrasound and nothing's covered so that we can find out, because it's gonna make an interesting party if we were like, we don't know. But that's the plan, and we're super excited, and this has just been an amazing time. We're so blessed, we're so excited, and our baby is due in November, and you know, time is just flying by. I can't believe that I'm already in the 15th week, and I'm just excited for what's gonna come and for all the changes. So before I finish, I'll show you my belly. This dress doesn't really show it very well, but it is there. I noticed this week my belly started showing. It felt like just all of a sudden one day my belly popped and people started noticing. So I'll show you, but you'll notice the progression as the weeks go by. But anyway, so this is the first video. I hope to continue filming. We'll see how it goes, and but that is the goal. So I will end with showing my belly. If I can't get a good one, maybe we'll just insert a picture. But all right, I'll talk to you guys later.